Hi there. If you're a non-resident landlord selling UK property without a UTR, you still have reporting obligations. In this video, we explain how.
So you're living abroad, you've sold a property back in the UK, and now you're wondering, what's next? It's a really common situation, but one that comes with a tricky question. How on earth do you report it to the taxman if you don't have a UK tax reference number? Well, you're in the right place. Let's break it down. Let's imagine this is Alex. He's enjoying the sun in Sydney and he's just sold his old flat in Manchester. The sale went great, the money's hit the bank, but now he's staring at the paperwork with that nagging feeling. What does he actually need to do for HM Revenue and Customs, or HMRC, back in the UK?
And here's the kicker. Alex has a super strict 60-day deadline, right from the completion date, to get this reported. The problem is, like a lot of non-residents, he doesn't have a Unique Taxpayer Reference number, a UTR. This is the exact puzzle we're going to solve today. And, well, the clock is ticking.
Right, here's our game plan. We'll start with that 60-day surprise, because it catches a lot of people out. Then we'll get into how to actually understand your UK gain. We'll solve the big one, reporting without a UTR. Then, a quick tour of the online portal, how to pay and avoid penalties, and we'll wrap it all up with your clear next steps.
Okay, first things first, the 60-day surprise. And I call it a surprise because, honestly, it catches so many people off guard. This is a hard deadline, and it applies to absolutely everyone, whether you're living in the UK or on the other side of the world.
Now, these are the rules you really need to get your head around, because this is where people trip up. As a non-resident, you have to report every single disposal of UK land or property. That includes commercial stuff too. But here are the two big ones. You still have to report it even if you made a loss, and you still have to report it even if you're certain there's no tax to pay. That 60-day window is non-negotiable, whatever the outcome.
You know, this isn't some ancient, dusty law. The whole system has changed really fast. It kicked off in 2015 for residential properties, then got way bigger in 2019 to cover pretty much everything. For a while, the deadline was a crazy 30 days, before they gave us a bit more breathing room with the 60 days we have now. It just goes to show how seriously HMRC is taking this. They're making sure everyone pays their fair share.
Okay, so you understand the deadline. Let's move on to the next piece of the puzzle, understanding your UK gain. I mean, before you can report anything, you need to know what, if anything, you actually owe, right? So how do you work that out?
The most important word you'll hear is rebasing. It sounds technical, but it's actually pretty fair. HMRC doesn't try to tax any growth in your property's value from before these rules even existed for non-residents. So the system basically draws a line in the sand. For a flat like Alex's, you only look at the gain from what it was worth back in April 2015, not from the day he first bought it.
But here's where you can be smart about it. You have options. Rebasing is what they use automatically, but it might not be the best for you. You can choose to use a method called time apportionment, or even calculate the gain from the original cost. Now, why on earth would you do that? Well, let's say your property's value shot up before 2015, but it's been pretty flat since then. Using the original cost could actually mean you pay less tax. The bottom line is, you get to pick the method that works out best for you.
And here's a bit of good news. Everybody gets a tax-free allowance. It's called the annual exempt amount, and for the 2026/27 tax year, it's £3,000. It's a simple, straight deduction from your gain, and it's a really easy way to lower your final bill.
So what about the actual tax rates? Well, for residential property, it really depends on any other UK income you have for that year, like from renting the place out. If your total UK income plus your gain keeps you in the basic rate tax band, you'll pay 18%. If it pushes you into the higher rate, that goes up to 24%.
Okay, on to the main event. Section 3, reporting without a UTR. I know this sounds like the biggest roadblock, but I promise there's a system designed specifically for you.
The secret is that HMRC built a separate way in. You just go to the gov.uk website and search for the CGT on UK Property Service. It'll ask you to set up a government gateway ID, and this is the absolute key. When it asks for your details, just choose the option to create sign-in details using your email. You don't need a UTR to get started. Once you've proven who you are, the system gives you a special account number just for this tax.
Now, a massive professional tip here, because this is where people really get stuck. The online ID check often wants 2 bits of UK-issued ID, like a UK passport and a UK driving license. For many non-residents, that's just not going to happen. But if you hit that wall, don't panic. You're not stuck. You can ask HMRC for a paper form instead. Just remember, it needs a real pen-on-paper, wet signature, so you have to account for the time it'll take to post it back from abroad.
Right, so you've managed to create your account and you're in. That brings us to Section 4, navigating the online portal and actually making your declaration.
It's really important to realize that this CGT on UK Property Service is its own separate world. It has nothing to do with the main self-assessment tax return system you might have heard about. You're basically reporting this one specific sale in its own little dedicated space.
I know I sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say this one more time because it's the single most important rule of all. The disposal must be declared even if there's no tax to pay, or even if you made a loss. Getting this wrong is a big no-no, and that leads us perfectly into our next section.
Section 5. Paying tax and avoiding penalties. This is all about knowing what happens if things go wrong and making sure you get those final steps spot on.
Look, the penalties are no joke, and they escalate fast. Just being 1 day late gets you an instant £100 fine. After that, they really start to stack up, and in the worst cases, can be as high as the tax you owed in the first place. And remember, these penalties still apply even if your final tax bill was zero.
Okay, let's say you filed on time and you do have some tax to pay. There's one last little trap to avoid. When you're ready to pay, the system will give you a unique 14-digit reference number. You absolutely must use this specific number. If you don't, your payment can just get lost in the system, and as far as HMRC is concerned, you haven't paid. And that means penalties.
So let's pull all of this together in our last section. Here are your next steps. A clear, simple path to getting this sorted and staying compliant. When you boil it all down, it's just 4 steps. 1. Gather your info. Get the completion statement, the original purchase details, any costs for major improvements. 2. Calculate the gain and remember to pick the best method for you. 3. Create that special CGT on UK property account and get your report submitted within the 60 days. And 4. If there's tax to pay, pay it on time using that special reference number.
We've covered a lot of ground, and if it feels a bit overwhelming, especially when you're dealing with it from thousands of miles away, that's totally understandable. If you just want to know it's being handled correctly, the team here at My Tax Accountant deals with this exact scenario all the time. You really don't have to figure it all out alone. Feel free to get in touch. And of course, for more guides like this, make sure you subscribe.
And finally, the important legal bit. This has all been for general information and isn't formal tax advice. Tax laws can and do change, and everyone's personal situation is different. So please, make sure you speak to a qualified professional to get advice that's tailored specifically to you. Thanks for watching.